and I'm going to say hi. For those of you who've never seen me before, hi. I don't do video. I am doing a little bit here and there just to show you that I'm a human. Although with AI, who actually knows if I'm sure there is a thing where there's AI video and it's not really me sitting here, but it's really me. Hi, I'm here. I'm Jacqueline Fish. I'm so excited to chat with you today about all things book writing. So I want to say hi. I'm going to pop off. Video is actually super distracting, especially with something like this, because we're here to talk about your book. You don't need to stare at my face for the next hour. And same with slides. I do have some slides that I'll walk you through, and I will share them after. And when we're focusing on our faces, we're getting so much information that we're not getting in what we want or what we need. And I really invite you to pause, relax. We're here to learn. I'm going to share some things. I'm going to ask you to do a couple things, and I will have some questions for you. I see in the comments, I forgot how much I missed being off camera. Thank you. That's interesting. When I unplugged my webcam in 2022, it was an adjustment for sure. And so many people were like, oh, that's amazing. I wish I could do that too. I'm like, you can. You can turn off your webcam anytime you want. You can go on video to say hi if you want or not do it. It's whatever you want. There's no obligations. Yes, being off camera is the best. And especially for you all and the people I work with, we're writing. We're writing books. I don't need to see you all. And yeah, I could do a whole session on that, but we're not going to do that because you're here today to talk about book writing. All right, let me share my screen. I'm going to pop open the slideshow and then get my chat set up so I can see your questions and make sure I've got everything as I want it. All right. In the chat, has anyone here written a book before? If so, just say yes or say no. If you have written a book, just drop in a number. 1, 2, 3. No, no. Yes. 1.5. 1.5 books. Christy, yes. 1 published. Dana, yes. 1 poetry. Yes. I love it. Who here has been told you should write a book? Just drop a yes, even if you've written one. Yes, 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 yes. Love that. Yes, to right. I love all of this. I'm going to ask you in a second why you want to write your book. Not for me. This is for you to know. If I were to guess why you wanted to write a book, you had a problem in the past. And that problem probably sucked for you. You spent time, energy, effort, money, perhaps even your whole career, many years of probably frustration. And eventually, after struggle, you solved that problem. Maybe you went beyond solving it and you mastered it. You mastered something. You are so good at something and you have a story to tell. Even though, yes, you still might doubt yourself sometimes and wonder, is this really a big deal? Do people really struggle with this? The answer is yes. If you did, someone else does. 100%. And you're proud of yourself. And that's great. So there's a part of you that wants to share your story and the advice. I love both stories and advice. It's a special blend of memoir and self-development that I find such a powerful way to connect with your reader, share stories, and for them to see your transformation as a metaphor for themselves. So we want to write a book, many books. People tell us we should. And then we get to a block and it's like, I've never written a book before. You keep coming back to it. And you're like, well, I don't know where to start. How do I structure it? How do I sell it? I can't tell you how many times someone has reached out to me and said, how do I market my book? And I'm like, awesome, congratulations. Tell me about your book. Oh, I haven't written it yet. I'm like, you're thinking about marketing and you haven't written it yet? You got to get to writing. So today, I 100% believe that you can write your book, even if you're busy. We're all busy. Put a yes in the chat if you're busy. If you're not busy, I want to know your secrets because I would like to be less busy in some ways, and grow your business. Because let's face it, most of us aren't shipping off to a cabin in the woods for a year alone. We have families, we have work, we have businesses, we have a life. And I truly believe immersing ourselves in our lives with our family, kids, with doing things makes us better writers and better at business. So I don't think anyone needs to put their business on hold. I'll talk about some strategies for that. Really, you're creating an impact with your book, with your business, with your life, with your family, with everyone. I don't think we should give anything up. Like, how good would it feel? Imagine you're shopping for books or you hear about this author and they're like, here's my new book. I disappeared to a cabin in the woods, retreated for a year, didn't see my family, didn't talk to any friends, drank coffee and ate white bread for a year. Hopefully you didn't do that. Here's my book. Like, how good were they feeling when they were writing it? I don't know, maybe they did, but maybe not. Just like the imagery that you hear from some authors who say, I sliced open a vein and let myself bleed every day. That's what writing is. I'm like, no, that's not what we're going for. It's not an image that I'm willing to accept. The other thing that might even be frustrating to you, let me know if this is true with a yes. If you have a book in your mind and you're starting to see more people publish their books and you're like, what the heck? Like, they wrote a book? If they can do it, surely I can. And not even necessarily in a judgmental way, but you're like, wow, they did it? Huh. Like, maybe you're hard on yourself thinking, what's wrong with me? Why can't I publish it? Why can't I do my own book? Yes, definitely. Yes, with I think 6 exclamation points. Totally. The thing about book writing, we don't know how to do it until we start. And there are people to help you along the way. No one's going to let you publish crap. I mean, there might be some people on Fiverr that you get support from. Your book will never be crap, especially you. So if you don't know me yet, this is me. I'm an author of 3.9 books. I'm almost done my fourth. My first one was a mini book. It's like 50 pages that I did really quickly. And doing that really helped me set the structure and give myself a container. So 2 of my books are shown here. Unfussy Life, which I published in 2021 after moving from New Jersey to Florida, my family's biggest move of all of our moves across states and countries. And then Intuitive Writing, which I published in 2023, almost 2 years ago now. I'm also the founder of the Intuitive Writing School, where I teach everything that you learn here today and the stuff I work with my one-on-one clients on. Writing can be fun and it can feel good. And I think that's the only way we should write. The reason I wrote Intuitive Writing was because when I wanted to be a writer, like 2014, 2015, I got the itch. I read a lot of books on writing and they all were filled with negativity. Writing is hard. The third book, I unpublished it on Amazon because it needs some major, I think you might be asking about my new one. So my very first book was called Unfussy Mom. I unpublished it because there's lots in there that I might refresh someday. And some of that material turned into what was Unfussy Life. My third book is all about writing. I don't have a title yet. It's along the lines of writing with the moon cycles and astrology. And it's not a read front to back book, but a guidebook that you can use any day. As an example, we're in Taurus season, and you don't need any astrology knowledge to be able to do this. I will talk a little bit about writing with nature's rhythms today too. Right now, we're in Taurus season. So that's whatever the sun sign is. And today, the moon is in Pisces. So you would read about Taurus, and then you'd read about Pisces, specifically the waning moon, because we are in the waning phase, approaching a new moon in a couple days. So it is prompts, suggestions. For those of you who are in the writing community, you know all about it because I share this information daily. All right, switching gears. It's like, womp. Quick story. A couple years ago, I was traveling in Boston with my family. The kids were young. They were probably like 5 and 8, I'm thinking. And my son was always really interested in Boston Tea Party. So he really liked the history, the museums, and those things. And the name's escaping me. I should know this. Revere? Paul Revere? Is that his name? I think he was buried not in this cemetery, but in Boston. And they were fascinated with the graveyards and ghost tours. They were like, ooh, like it was scary and it's interesting. And they would ask questions like, first question, is everyone in there dead? So I laugh and say, I think so. And you can just imagine their faces. They're like, what? They're not actually dead? And then I remember growing up, my dad's stories every time we drove past a graveyard, and I'm guilty of doing this now. He would always say, everyone's just dying to get in there. So dad jokes, eye rolls, that's what happens. So this brought up some curiosity, and it reminded me of a book I read from Todd Henry called Die Empty. This book, I read it probably around 2015. Of all the books I read on writing, it wasn't specifically about writing, but it was about getting your best ideas out every day. And there was a line in there. I often close my workshops and classes with this line, but instead I'm opening with this one because it is so powerful. I'll read it to you. The most valuable land in the world is the graveyard. In the graveyard are buried all of the unwritten novels, never launched businesses, unreconciled relationships, and all of the other things that people thought, I'll get around to that tomorrow. One day, however, their tomorrows ran out. That did it for me. I was like, there is no way I'm going to be that person. And that book really changed me. I committed to emptying out every day, little by little. And my writing journey somewhat aligns with my entrepreneurial journey. 2012, I started a blog about food. I read about writing from then forward. 2017, I quit my full-time consulting job to write full-time. I went into copywriting. Started writing my first book, my first big book on Fussy Life. Then came 2021, published it. That one was a big chunk. That took 4 years, but it's done. If I didn't start, I wouldn't have finished it. 2023, published the next one and started writing the one I'm working on now. So I'm averaging about a book every 2 years-ish. I'd like to speed that up. For now, that's just what we're doing. Let's talk about the enemy to getting our books out there and to writing. Perfectionism. It's a big one. Our book needs to be perfect. Voices in our head. Voices that aren't yours. I'll talk about that in a second. A lot of the things that we might be saying in our head, would you say those things to a child, your own child? If you would not, I'm guessing most of you here would not do that, then they don't belong in your head either. Do you think God put an idea in your head for you not to write about it? or not to have an impact, not to share? I don't think so. So some of the reasons we struggle with writing, I touched on some of these BS ideas about writing from either wounded and or well-meaning teachers, parents, bosses. This is the teacher with the red pen, the English teacher who marked up your essays when you thought you did a great job. Parents who were like, don't waste your time being a writer. It's a waste of time. And while everyone here, side note on that, you don't need to call yourself a quote writer or write for a living. All of you have businesses. And as an author entrepreneur, having a book, I love this for so many reasons. It gives you massive credibility. Also, is a really, it's like one step up from a freebie or opt-in. It's like, here, buy my book, it's $20. And you're having an impact. So you're gonna have an impact on people's lives, and it's a warm-up for them to work with you. So the impact of my book, Intuitive Writing, turned people into from readers into one-on-one clients. And then they refer other people. So it's not about book sales. It's about having an impact. And surprisingly, even writing Unfussy Life, which is part memoir, part self-development, that also attracted clients because people wanted to work with the kind of person who wrote a book, even though that book had nothing to do with how I support my clients. A side note there. Cancel culture. What if I publish my book and everyone hates it? What if I write something and people disagree? It's going to happen. So there is a level of inner work that we need to do to be able to handle that. Depending on what you're writing, I usually suggest having support for your mental wellness outside of the writing, because stuff will come up. Your inner critic, comparing, overthinking. Overthinking is a huge one. And then thinking we can't. And then there's the fear. Maybe you've even started writing your book and have stopped. A question I like to ask for people who have trouble finishing a project is, what does it mean when you publish this book or when you publish this piece? And usually it means something for their business or their lives that they're not quite ready for yet. When it comes to writing your book, the why and what are more important than the how. Yet how is the number one question that people always ask. How do I do it? I will give you a structure today for a how, and it is nuanced for every book you're writing. So I don't like prescriptions. There's no one way fits all. There's no one way to write a book. There's many ways. But your why and your what are so important. What you're writing about, that is key. All you are focused on is, I am writing a book about this. And then, this happens. An example, a baby's learning to walk. Sees everyone walking. That's what I want to do. I want to walk. It's not focused on how. I mean, he or she. They're figuring it out as they go. And no one's giving them crap for doing it wrong. No, don't do it like that. Do it like this. Like, no, I don't walk. I'm focused. Why? So I can get around faster. So I can reach the food on the table instead of being down here on the ground. Not as fun. And your why. What I want you to do, we're going to take like 90 seconds to do this, a quick pause. Write it down or type it. 2 questions. 1, this is a book about, what comes up? I'll ask you the second question in a minute. I tend to give people too many questions at a time. This is a book about, what comes up? No filtering, no judging. I'm gonna take a sip of my latte while you do that. Next question. I'm writing this book because. Write the first thing that comes to mind. There's no judgment. If anyone wants to share their what or their why in the chat, drop it in. Even if it surprised you. Or if you just want to share, wow, that surprised me. I didn't think my why was that. And that's what it is. All right, we have one answer. Because I love myself. Surprised by that answer. I love that. That's amazing. That's a great reason to write a book. All your reasons are great. It's the book I had that I needed to read. Yeah. Yep. 100% wish I had. Okay. I had a sense that's what you meant. That was why I wrote intuitive writing and Unfussy Life. They were the books I wish I had. Unfussy Life specifically as a working mom with young kids. And intuitive writing, the book I wish I had when I was learning to write online. Yep. Love your reasons. All right. Now we're going to get to some practical stuff. Tiny actions add up. So just as an example, 50,000 words. I chose this number because if you've ever heard of the Writing Challenge National Novel Writing Month, or NaNoWriMo, which happens in November, it's a challenge to write 50,000 words in 30 days, which I do not recommend, especially for women. You'll understand why in a second. 50 is just a rough number. I think my other two books ended up around 70,000 words. And when you start with a draft, now note this is 50,000 words of a draft. I'm not talking about finished. We don't edit while we write. You'll also hear about that too. You could achieve this in just 300 words a day, which is 2,100 words a week. You can do it in a little under 6 months. To give you an idea of what 300 words look like, this is the introduction of the book I'm working on. This is 300 words. Now, this is also edited, so this is not first surrender draft. I do show my surrender drafts sometimes. This is 300 words. You could probably write this 15 minutes. Do you have 15 minutes? If you don't, I'll talk about some ways to carve out this time. And really, it is intention and immersion. You could write it faster. Two other examples, 500 words a day. You can also go from start with 300, do 300 for week 1, week 2, write 500 a day, then 1,000 a day. 500 words a day is 3,500 words a week, 14 weeks. 7 weeks, 1,000 words a day. So fast. I've seen people in our co-writing sessions and community, I've seen some people write up to 3,000 words in a little under 90 minutes. It is so doable. Now, word count, I don't suggest obsessing on that. I'm only using this as a measure just because it's one of the tools we can measure our book writing with. I don't suggest focusing on word count. It's usually just a guideline. It is something if you are celebrating yourself as you go along, it gives you that like, ooh, did this many words. And when you see them add up, it's like, yeah, I'm doing this. This is great. Getting started, immersion, immersing yourself in the writing life. What needs to go? If you're starting with 15 minutes a day 1 week and then 30 minutes the next, you can absolutely do that with any situation. It might require you spend less time on social media, you watch a little less TV, and also consider sitting down to write and get the words out, that might take you longer. However, we've got talk to text. We've got tools that we can use on the go. My books are always a blend of both. Once you begin writing, something unlocks in your mind and you will be thinking about it all the time. You'll be noticing signs, conversations, things show up in your life, all these amazing synchronicities. Having your phone handy, which let's face it, you all have it within reach right now. Talk to text, then you have a transcription to start from and edit from later. Just getting it out. Planning for your writing. So part planning, not leaving it up to chance, not work on book, and that goes on your to-do list. How about instead you block the first 30 minutes of your day? You start working a little bit earlier. That was how I wrote my first 2 books. The first one because I was working full-time, running a business, and had young kids, and I was commuting. This was before work from home was a real thing. I don't know how I did it, but I did. I got up every day at 5 a.m. and wrote for 30 to 45 minutes before I'd have to get ready to get on the train. And then I'd have weekends where I'd run off to Starbucks for a little bit and get a little bit of writing done. Making it inevitable. So setting yourself up for writing, letting your family know, I'm working on this book. It's really important to me. I'm going to be focused on this for the next couple of months. And letting people know what's happening. And also feeling good while you're doing it. I did not want my kids to see me write a book and be frustrated about it or angry or like flustered. No, I wanted them to see what a great experience it was. Because can you imagine from their perspective, they're looking at their mom who's on her computer a lot between work and writing. And if I'm not enjoying it, why would they want to ever grow up and write a book too? Planting the idea in their head that writing a book or writing is hard. So we're thinking about everyone around us, setting ourselves up with daily rituals, morning practices, and it can be as simple as wake up, light a candle, write. There was one story that I included in intuitive writing. Lady was working on her book. She had a new baby. Every time she would go downstairs to make coffee and start writing, her baby would wake up and then her writing session would be cut short. So what she did, she put a chair right beside her bed and her computer. She woke up, she didn't even go to the bathroom, went straight to the chair, started writing. 30, 45 minutes every day to draft her book. I think she took about 2.5 months doing that. So that was her time. And the last one on here, my favorite, writing into cracks. This is something Julia Cameron, author of The Artist's Way, talked about. Those 15 minutes of time where you could pop open Instagram between meetings, you're waiting for the water to boil, you can actually get a lot done. Totally guilty of ignoring these cracks. When I'm between meetings, I'm like, oh, I got 15 minutes. I'm just going to do something. I'm going to putter around, check email. No, what if I started writing? And every time I do, I'm always surprised at how much I create. It's always a win. Writing in flow. I'll also talk about the surrendered first draft, not the shitty first draft, because our writing is not shit. It's just a draft. This is trusting the words, grounding in our bodies, not our brains, our hearts, not our head. It is really turning our brain off so that we can write. If we try to write with our brains, this is when overthinking happens and we edit at the same time. If you take away one thing from this today, first, I hope it's your what and your why. So 2 things. Writing and editing are different activities and require different parts of your brain. When you are writing, you're not editing. You're surrendered, co-creation, not forcing, not controlling, different energetic quality. Ignore the squigglies, turn off your spell check, let the words out. So when I say drafting a book, this is what I mean. I do not mean you're going to write your book and publish it. There is no piece of writing you've ever read, especially a book, that was not edited. doing this while growing your business, share your process with your followers, especially if your book has topics about what helps them. You're sharing this regularly. So you're also building your audience for who you're going to launch your book to. Offering sneak peeks in your newsletters and on socials, like book update. I've written the first few chapters. Here's what's going on behind the scenes. Here's a snippet. Take a look. You can ask your followers for their opinions. Anything you're trying to decide about including or not, things like that. Reading excerpts live. Do it on a call with your clients or group you run, live on social media. You might dedicate book writing days and business days. So time blocking. Maybe Mondays and Fridays are for your book. Tuesday through Thursdays is business. Or the reverse. Or book writing happens in the morning, client work in the afternoon. And how this works for you is really unique to you. And you will only discover that by beginning to write. We can't think our way there or figure that out. So experimenting to see what times work for you and knowing that what times work for you today might not work for you next week, because we are always changing. Life is changing. Our bodies are changing. Our hormones are changing. The mood is changing. Everything is different. I'll talk about that in a minute. And also the last one, eliminating everything unnecessary. I talk about social media a lot. A lot of people have a love-hate relationship with it. I think anyone who hates it is doom scrolling, following people who make them feel crappy, or looking at it like an obligation. They're not looking at it as a tool for connection, socializing, social media. How much time are you spending on there? How much time and energy are you giving people, projects, things that are not lighting you up anymore? Things that need to go. When you start, I know everyone's like, but how do I start? You can start this today. You can consider this homework if you like. Write one honest sentence. You already have a start when you wrote your lines, this is a book about, and I'm writing this book because. Those are two honest sentences you probably just wrote. Write the next sentence after that. And then you keep going, one after another. It's really about honesty. It's not about writing perfect prose flowing from your fingertips. It's not trying to be brilliant, prolific, smart, intelligent, or anything like that. It is about being honest and real. I'll talk about editing a little bit today too, because that's also when the overthinking brain can creep in. So the SFD, this was originally coined by author Anne Lamott. She called this a shitty first draft. Well, at first I embraced this idea because I appreciate the intention behind it. The gesture is to let yourself be okay with writing not good stuff. But what is happening in our unconscious minds when we're calling these things shitty? It's not shitty. It's just not done. It's a draft. Is anyone's first draft ready to publish? No. And this is also where comparison, I'm making words up. Comparison creeps in, and we're comparing our first draft with a published book. Do you know how many people saw that book? At least 3 from an editing team, a developmental editor, a copy editor, and a proofreader, probably beta readers, maybe about a dozen or less. The author saw it a million times. That has gone through so many iterations. That is not the level we're writing for. Drafting is getting the words out. You're an expert. You've overcome something, probably many things. You've mastered things. You can help people. You can create an impact. It is getting all the ideas out. It is a allowing and emptying out, like a faucet. You turn the faucet on, you let the words out, writing session's over, you close it. You're not judging it, you just let it out. Days and days. You're just pouring out. I like to say, write as if you don't have a backspace button. This is a challenge at first. Totally appreciate it. No filtering, judging, or thinking. uncensored. You're not writing with anyone else's voice in your head, just yours. And what really helps us do this is a tool we all have, our body. It's free. You don't need a thing. It's being present. It might be as simple as putting your feet on the floor, a hand on your chest, one on your belly, breathing for just a second, centering yourself, and then starting. One of my other favorite ways to draft quickly is look away from the screen. This way I don't see the squigglies. Or I take my glasses off. I can't see it. When you look at your SFD later, it should surprise you. Often in a good way. Like, wow, I wrote that. That is good. And that is the difference between writing and overthinking and writing in flow. I'd love to hear a yes in the chat if you have found yourself writing and you've lost track of time, where it's just felt great. Totally. Yes. 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 That is the feeling we're going for all the time, even with editing. So with editing, you're going to work in phases. I love it. Writing is one of the rare things that puts you into the flow. That is great. When it comes to finding your flow in writing, if you don't feel that at the page yet, notice other areas of your life where you do have flow. Maybe it's cooking, a sport you play. I don't know why pickleball is coming to mind. I've never played it. When people got obsessed with it, I wanted to try it. It's already 95 degrees here, so I'm not going to try it anytime soon. Playing pickleball, you're running, you're painting. What are the things you do that you are in flow? It's important to be in flow as often as possible and noticing that feeling and see where you can bring that same energy to your writing. Shifting gears to editing for a second. You're working in phases. So just like you take your draft, you're not going to look at your book draft, edit it once, and it's ready to publish. You're going to go through it a handful of times. You'll share it with an editor. They'll ask questions, offer suggestions for rearranging, poke and prod, never in a judgmental way. A good editor is really looking to bring your voice through. And I also like to edit in phases. I'm not going in with like, okay, time to edit and finalize this piece. I'm taking it from SFD to final published piece. No, I don't know if anyone can do that. For things like a blog, sure, doable. Which, as business owners, you have such an advantage to writing a book for many reasons. I recorded a podcast episode about this last week on my podcast, How Women Write. Business owners don't get writer's block because we have so many things to write. If I'm blocked on my book, if I don't know what to write, then I'll just go write an email. I'll write something else and then I'll come back to it. Because just like those ideas happen when we're walking, in the shower, out doing things, talking to people, we get inspiration as we're doing stuff. We don't get inspiration as we're sitting there staring at a blank screen. So it really helps us stay in momentum. So a light touch, going quickly. My round one of editing is I fix typos and anything obvious like punctuation. Super easy. Then I go back another time, another day even, do all the quick stuff. How do you know it's ready to post or publish? When there's nothing more you can possibly add. So editing is also adding. It's not just tweaking what's there. You're going to discover more things to include, and you're making it more you. So what's really important here is you're not aiming for perfection. No such thing. There's at least one typo in every book out there. Almost guarantee it, no matter how many people saw it. No one's reading your book to find typos. Those are not your readers. You're aiming to get more of you and you're writing it on the page. That's what matters the most. That's what you're editing for. Shifting gears to the moon. I love this topic. especially after we've covered so much other ground. I discovered this probably about 5 or 6 years ago, maybe a little longer now, when someone I met in one of my groups was aligning their business to their menstrual cycle. I was like, what? Here I was, almost 40. Like, why would someone do that? And then I discovered, oh, a menstrual cycle aligns with moon phases and the 4 seasons. Huh. So this is also why challenges like NaNoWriMo, where you are to write 50,000 words in 30 days, which works out to a little over 1,600 words a day. Women in general are not designed to crank out the same thing every day. That's the masculine. That's the sun. That's what the sun does every day. Rises and sets, it's the same size, same amount of light, depending on the season, every day. And when I was working with a naturopath a handful of years ago, she showed me a chart of women's hormones versus men's hormones. The women's was a roller coaster, and the man's was simple, like one hump, one hump a day. And I was like, oh, so this is why. Let me know in the chat if you've ever sat down to write and you're like, why is this so hard today? It was so easy the other day. Let me know with a yes if that's happened to you. Yes, yes, yes. Menstrual cycle or not, whether you still have one or you never had one to begin with, we have the moon. And I'm going to talk through that. Yes, yes, everyone's had that. So it's important not to judge ourselves. You were different last week. If you were ovulating last week, of course you were feeling energetic, clear. That's like a full moon. A week or two later, when you're nearing the end of your cycle, it's time to slow down, not time to crank out 1,500 words. It's time to tidy up, finish, nest, get ready for the next one. Yeah, hormones for sure. I mean, there's lots of things that can affect this. To keep this simple, I'm going to talk through the moons and I'll relate it to a menstrual cycle. 4 phases. The new moon is just like winter. It's dark. Not a lot of light. Just like the menstrual phase. The waxing moon is like spring. The light's starting to grow, like follicular phase. Full moon, summer, ovulation. Waning moon is like fall, luteal phase. I'll go through some suggested activities to do during each phase. So if you have a menstrual cycle, the way I like to suggest flowing through this is look at your body first. How do you feel? Your cycle very well may not line up, probably does not line up with the moon because we live highly indoor lives, many of us. And it's okay. I see it as a bonus. If you have a cycle and it's not aligned with the moon cycle, I see it as I get 2 full moons a month. I get my personal one and I get the external one. So I see it as a plus. There was one person in my community once who her cycle was opposite the moon. And she said, oh, this is what's been working against me this whole time. I was like, whoa, no, it is not working against you. This is a bonus. It's not working against you. The goal is to work with it. We're flowing with the energy instead of fighting it. The energy of ourselves, what's going on outside, the rhythm of our house, all the things. So new moon, we have one coming up in a couple days on Sunday, the 27th. This is a time to go within, plant seeds that you will later reap. Think about winter. The soil, it's not doing anything to our eyes. To our naked eye, we think the soil's doing nothing. It's just dormant. It's resting so that it can grow again. So without taking this pause every month, you can't, if you ever tried to grow anything, I'm not great at growing things, working on that. I'm working on that story and growing actual things. I've kept 90% of the plants alive in my house in the past couple of years. This is a time for journaling, reflecting without forcing, meditating. You're probably moving a little slower, just like winter. Think of the energy of when it's -20 outside. It's freezing. You're not out there doing all the things. Writing your intentions and looking at it for the next cycle. A moon cycle's roughly 29 and a half days, just like a menstrual cycle. This is the time to block your calendar for writing. So these are all great things to do over the next couple days. I like to look at it because we work in a system of time that gives us 7 days a week. I like to look at these as a week. So for instance, right now, I would consider today to like next Thursday, new moon week. And that's the phase we're in. That container just helps for me. And it's not a hard line or hard stop. It's the word I'm looking for, spectrum. Waxing moon, like spring. This is when we're doing our initiating, sprouting, socializing. This is where I love to start doing your drafting. This is SFD prime time. You're scheduling the writing sessions. You're building the container for what you'll write. Brainstorming, adding dates to your calendar. Maybe you'll give yourself a deadline. Also the time to watch for shiny objects and squirrel syndrome. This is also a time, let me know if you've experienced this before, where you're like, why can't I focus? There's so many ideas coming through. I want to do all the things right now. What is wrong with me? Why can't I just do this one thing and finish it? Let me know if you've experienced that. If you've experienced it recently, take a look back at your calendar, see where you were in your cycle if you had one, or where the moon was. Yep. Again, important not to judge yourself. So when you know that that is the weather for the week, you know it's shiny object and squirrel week, you can plan for it. You don't plan to focus and finish and complete things. That's when you do all your brainstorming and get all the ideas out. All or nothing is kind of how it goes for me. Yeah. So when you know that, you can totally plan for it. Full moon. Consider this a big fat spotlight in the sky. The ovulation, the summer, the egg. I am here. I am ready. It's not chasing sperm around. The egg is just there, ready, sending out the signal. You can do a lot of writing during this time. Love full moon week. This is the time to push. You might read what you've written. You might still be doing big drafts. Again, you're going to trust yourself. You're not going to be like, oh no, I can't stop and read because I still have ideas to come through. Keep flowing. Just keep letting the words out if that's what's coming through. Letting things go. It's like a big spotlight shining areas on your life and your writing project that are like, nope, this is not serving you. Maybe it'll shine a light on a distraction or something that's leaking your energy away from you that needs to go so that you can focus on your project. Also, time to get visible. Great time to announce your project. So maybe you begin next week with the new moon. I would love if you do that. Whenever everyone announces that they're starting their book, I'm unreasonably excited, always. If you start next week, you can announce it on the full moon. You're not announcing like you don't have your cover ready and all that. It's like, hey, I'm working on a book. I'm really excited about it. And that energy also is what your clients, potential clients, your audience sees. So the waning moon, fall, luteal phase. Think of pumpkin spice and all the things we do in fall. We're getting ready for winter. We're preparing, finalizing, focusing, completing. This is when we can focus and finish that draft. Squirrel brain isn't really a thing here. We know what to do. We have a purpose. We're gathering those nuts, getting ready for hibernation. We're not out there saying like, where are all the nuts? We know where they are. We're getting it done. This is when editing, I find, is so much easier than any other time. Because when you're trying to edit in squirrel shiny object season, it's like too much. You might also discover logistics like marketing, refining categories, doing some of that research just for later, letting go of what's not coming with you in the next cycle to plant the next seed. Now, I also share all this. This is a way. There are many ways to flow with writing your book. This is a way that has worked for me, my students, my clients, and I love it because it is so simple. and it's something we all have access to. And just because there's a suggestion that people might be tired during menstruation or on a new moon, might not be true for you every time. Every new moon is different. You are different. Your hormones are different. What's going on in your life. So that's why I never make definitive statements like, you're going to be tired and cranky. I'll never say anything like that. It all depends. It's just simply noticing, like, the sky is dark. How do I feel? Okay. I actually feel pretty good. Oh, I'm ovulating. Awesome. I'm going to go. I'm going to go do all the things. I'm going to do the hard gym workout, eat the big salad, and crank out some words. It's really, it's a container to show you your writing flow. And by looking to what's going on around us, we can bring it back to ourselves. Before I wrap up, I got so excited and went through so many of these like so fast. I would love to hear what questions are coming up. You're welcome to unmute and chat if you prefer to talk it out, or you can drop it in the chat. Questions or declarations. If you're like, yeah, that's it. I'm doing it. I'm going for it. While you're doing that, in the beginning was the word. The word sparked something. Words create, they have power. You've all read a book that changed your life, probably many of them. Thanks for your comment, Tana. My book draft has been collecting dust. And if you've been through a season, if you've just come out of your own personal winter, a dormant season, just because it's not winter outside, you might have been doing wintering things in your life. Moving, huge change. Plugging energy leaks, a massive healing that you went through, whatever that was, you were in winter. When you come out of that, you're getting ready for spring. Christy's question, when could be good timing for making decisions between books to work on? New moon and full moon. If I'm say, I'd love to hear if anyone has more than one idea for a book. If you have more than one book in you, let me know with a yes. I 100% had that. Yes, yes, yes. 2 ideas now. Yeah. So you probably have more ideas now than you did before, which is great. Write them all down. Write them down. Those ideas are not going anywhere. What I like to do when I have a decision to make is decide later. If I don't get a clear answer right away, there's also some ways to work with your own human design, whole other topic that I could teach. I can't teach on this yet. I don't have enough experience with it. Depending on how you make decisions, if I know that I want to start my next book in the next couple weeks, I will write a to-do list, a to-do during full moon week, and say, decide about book topic. Or during my menstrual phase. So you can decide then if you still have a cycle. And then by doing that, you're also plugging the energy leak by not letting that decision weigh on you and keep you from starting something. And then the key is when you decide what topic to write on, which book you'll write first, decide, go all in. Know you made the right decision because you made the decision. We have to take action and start writing to know if we're going in the right direction. And by right, I don't mean right or wrong, like there's a wrong one, just more aligned for you. So what might happen? Here's an example. You choose your topic, you start writing. All of a sudden, these synchronicities and signs show up all about your topic. And you're like, yes, like is more confirmation, just yes after yes from the world showing you conversations. You're like, awesome, I'm going. Or what could happen, you make your decision, you start writing, start rolling, and all of a sudden, everything is coming to you about something else, maybe not even your second option for a topic, something totally unrelated. That keeps coming up. And you're like, what the heck? You can switch. But the thing is, you wouldn't have gotten that information until you started. So we have to start. And it's totally okay if you have unfinished book projects, because maybe that is not the book that you were supposed to write first. Maybe it was the book you were supposed to start that needed to start so that the other one could happen. Just like I needed to start a plant-based blog and cooking business to become a copywriter, to become a writing coach, to start a writing community, to write my own books. I needed to do that first, but I didn't know that. I thought I was just going to be this like food person and have cookbooks. Totally changed, but I needed to go through that to know. Candace says, this was so good. Thank you, Candace. So happy to hear that. You were surprised by what you wrote, going to reflect on it. I have heading to another meeting. Thank you, Candace. Sana. I'm trying to pronounce that correctly. Feeling inspired, finally thinking I could really write the book. Yes, you can. And have it ready in October when you have a birthday, a present for me. Yes, yes, yes. I love that so much. A gift to yourself on your birthday. I love having a deadline out there too. Even if you don't necessarily hit it, you had something and you can move it. I wanted to publish Unfussy Life when I turned 40, which was in September 2020. Let's just say there was a lot of other shit going on in September 2020. It didn't happen. What 2020 did was reinforce my why, and I had some new lessons to share. I published it April 2021. Yeah. I also suggest, actually, I'm going to leave you with that. I'm going to write this down because I want to tell you this. I'm writing down, or I will forget. Naomi says, my struggle is with the topic, and I wonder if I go from the positive side. Great question. When you're writing, don't worry about that. Write however you're going to write it. That's when editing will come in. One of my book coaching clients I'm working with now, it was something she was questioning a lot. She's like, this sounds so negative. I'm like, well, you are talking about a extremely challenging topic that is a negative event. So yes, there's going to be negative words in there, but that's what our editing comes in. We're not going to turn around and make it all happy and shiny and fake positive. But there's things to do with language that bring a reader through a journey. But while you're writing, though, the story comes out no matter how it comes out. So again, focusing on the what, not the how. All right, we've got people with 2 book ideas. Not sure if they belong in the same book. I love that too. Start writing. That's the answer for everything. Start writing. You will figure it out. It will become clear as you go. Also, so when I first drafted Unfussy Life, I wrote 50,000 words. It ended up being 70,000 words total-ish. And I took out 20,000 words. So that means I added 20. I'm losing math in my mind. I added a bunch and I took away a bunch. But I needed to do that to get to what I needed. And I had no idea what I was doing. I'm guessing you all read books before. If you've read a book, you can write a book. And there are experts that will help you along the way. Kirian says, I love all of this. Thank you. It does scare the bleep out of me. So want to bypass, let go of it. Yeah, it is scary. It is so scary. Quick story. When I wrote my first mini book, the Unfussy Mom one, I wasn't going to put it on Amazon. I was just going to put it on my website so people could buy it there. And my husband, who I appreciate in so many ways, was like, why would you do that? Why would you limit the audience for it? Like, well, because I'm afraid I don't want people to read it. What will they think? And I was like, yeah, You're right. Put it on Amazon. It felt like showing up at a party without pants. I have that dream all the time. Don't know why. I'll explore that another day. Same with publishing Unfussy Life. I'm like, oh my God, my kids' friends, parents are going to know I wrote a book. They're going to know all my stories. They're going to know all these things. And then you know what? Who cares? If they don't like my book, they can write their own book. And if it's not for them, that's fine. Like, think about when you pick up a book, you want to enjoy it. You're picking up a book because you want to learn something. You're not reading it to judge someone or pick it apart or find errors or holes in their thinking. No, you want to learn something. Just like when you show up to watch a speaker on a stage, a presentation, you want them to do well because you want to learn. Nice about the cooking blog. I don't know which J Fish you are. I think I had everyone else change their names, but if you can change your name or just let me know who you are. So I know who said that. That would be amazing. Yes, keep going. Always keep going. Wilco. Yeah, Wilco. I had a feeling it was you when you said you'll keep going. Yes, breaking it down into smaller steps, having deadlines. Yes, for self-publishing. Deadlines are helpful too, especially if you're working with an editor, because they're another person that you need to be on their calendar. That's the one I want to read. Yes. Thank you, Christy. It's really helpful to write in a community like this one. The support and accountability are huge. Thank you, Christy. Christy is funny enough, someone I met when I was doing my cooking business. So just proof that it is always a good idea to start because you never know where people are going to end up. Sana says, I'm sometimes worrying, do I know how to form, don't know what the right word is for the book so that it stays interesting, meaning in my head, chronological version sounds boring, but maybe I'm overthinking this. Yes. Here's what I suggest for getting started. And you can do this in the next week, New Moon Week. Make a list of all the things you want to include in your book. Topics, headlines, they might become chapters, they might not. Don't worry about the order. That comes later. Even though I had an outline for intuitive writing, I changed it during the first round of editing and the last round of editing. Once you have your topics, organize it to the best you think it is with an outline, and know that you can dive in at any phase. So I was actually just working with an author yesterday on her outline. She had maybe 15, 20 topics to write on. And what we did was she had the main topics. We fleshed them out, what we would talk about under each one. Some of them ended up getting combined in that outline, but later she might uncombine them. So then when you write, actually in the replay, I'm going to include a Google Sheet that I use to track the project, because a book is a project. It's a large project. I suggest writing one section at a time in a separate document. And I do that on purpose. So say I write 30 chapters. That might be a lot. That's what I did for NaNoWriMo. 30 chapters, one a day. I don't suggest that schedule for the record. You might write one chapter a week, two a week. You have it in a separate document. Then when I go to edit, I'm editing that one piece. It's just like editing a blog. So if you've written a blog before, you can totally do that. And if you haven't, start a blog. I'm also a big fan of blogging because you can take your blog posts and turn them into a book. You will do lots of editing. Both my books have plenty of content that started as a blog. It's also practice. Every piece of writing you do is practicing. From social posts, emails, blogging, website copy, everything you write is practicing for your book. So with each chapter or section in a separate document, you edit that one thing. And you do that for each document. Then you think about the order again. And then when you're at the phase where you've edited every piece, you put it all into one document. And you still might change it later. That's fine. It might be chronological. It might be theme-based. I did a little bit of both. in Unfussy Life. It was somewhat chronological, but then there was a little bit of jumping around, but I based them in themes and I ended up grouping sections of the book, I think 5 or 6 sections based on life phases. And that was at the suggestion of an editor. Did not think of that myself. Having fresh eyes, so valuable. Yes, Orly, whoever doesn't want to read our book or is judging them. Thank you, Dana, for saying you've never written more. Way back to the food blog. Yay. Now I also need to start a blog. Okay, I'm not giving anyone an extra to do, but if I'm going to suggest a blog if you're not totally sure what your book is yet, start a blog because you will practice and you will get clarity. And it's practice. And it's like you're writing your book over time. I've seen a handful of people write a weekly blog and then they have 52 blog posts to combine into a book. And they did it on purpose that way. So just know that you can also plan to write your book over a year. It does not need to happen over 90 days. I'm going to share 2 options if you are ready for support and want to get started with your book. Option 1, high touch support. This is me like on call on Voxer. You're like, help, don't know what to do here. Should I write about this? We start with a 90-minute strategy session, 2-3 coaching calls a month. I'll work with you on your outline and your plan, even weekly. Like, here's what to write next week. Write this next week. And I'm aligning it with your cycle if you have one, the moon, what's going on. And then this also includes weekly developmental editing. You will still have a copy editor go through some of it. But in the beginning, when you're drafting, I'm not doing this. So usually this is closer to the time that you have a draft together. It also includes 1 year in the community because it's an immersion. You're immersing yourself in your writing project. So you want to be around writers. Just like if you want to get in shape, you join a gym or you surround yourself with healthy eaters, you don't go hang out at the bar. So I have 3 start dates available. Next week, May 5th, June 2nd. When I send the replay, I'll send you the link to apply for that. If this sounds like something that's interested to you, you can also read more here. Let me put that in the chat if you are curious. All right, option 2. Some people go this route first and then decide to work with me one-on-one because they want to feel their way first. They want to do some other things. You can write your book in the community with others who are writing, other author entrepreneurs. We do at least 3 hours of co-writing a week. Co-writing is kind of just like this. We show up on Zoom, we say, hey, this is what I'm working on. I'm writing this. And then I check in a couple minutes before we wrap. We connect monthly over cacao or whatever you want to drink and ask questions, talk about what's going on in the world. I also include daily and weekly guidance and signal, like, hey guys, it's new moon week. Moon's in this sign. This is what we're working on, suggestions. So you always know how to plan, which also the community's been around since 2018 and it started as a copywriting community. So in here, you'll have everything you need to write your website, blogs, books, emails, literally everything, swipe files, guides, everything I've created in my done for you copywriting business. I've created a template for it. So you're never starting from a blank page, except for your book. Your book's a blank page because I can't write your book for you. And most important part, immersion. You're surrounding yourself with other people who are doing the work. And people show up to the calls. Sometimes people are like, I'm doing my taxes today. Like, that's cool. And I'm working on an email today. Or they show up and they're like, I want to work on a book chapter, but if that doesn't flow, I'm going to write a newsletter. So it's always flow, what you can work on. I also share daily writing prompts because having a prompt is a great launching off point to get going if we're not sure where we want to go. That's always open. I'm not one of those people that's like, hey, we're doing this fake urgency, join today, get whatever off. This is just what it is. Because when you need a writing community, you need one. You don't want to wait. It's $99 a month or $9.90 a year. When you sign up for annual, you get a bonus one-on-one chat. And within there, you can also book a one-on-one chat with me whenever you need some guidance or just want to ask some questions. And that is at the intuitivewritingschool.com. Questions, thoughts? I want to make sure I answer everything before we wrap up. And then I'll have a quick piece of work for you to do next. Who's ready to write their book? This is not saying like, yes, I'm going to start right now and I'm going to work with you. Whether you work with me or not, it's obviously up to you. You will know. Yes, feeling more confident. Yes, you're welcome, Dana. I love creating all this stuff. I created the writing community I needed when I was not writing for myself. When I was writing for my clients and not for me. And something amazing actually happened. So this is, I think, a further nudge as you're running a business. When I let my book project slide, like I wasn't looking at it for months at a time, when I recommitted to it, my client work got better. I attracted more clients. I was like, what? What the heck? And what it came down to is my energy. Because my energy was aligned with what I said I valued, what I wanted to do, and I was enjoying myself. I was working on something that mattered to me, and people feel that. I also was talking about it. Christy is inspired to keep going with her book projects. I love that. Orly says, yes, I love it. Right. 2 things I want to wrap with. If you have time after this chat, do this. I know we've been here for almost an hour and a half, so definitely move. I'm going to go get some sun and eat some food. 2 things. Imagine your book is done. So you might do this. You might lay down, close your eyes, just sit in a comfy spot, close your eyes. Imagine your book is done. What does it look like? How does it feel to hold in your hands? What are you wearing? What season is it? Who's around you? What do you smell? What do you see? What do you hear? Engaging all your senses. Now, this vision, when you imagine this, you can come back to this every day when you start writing. Every morning, as soon as you wake up. I'll send you some more tips on that too. This gets our unconscious mind ready to prepare and write and keep going. Number 2 to do today, list 3 things you're going to do today on your book project. Now, those 3 things could be block 30 minutes to brainstorm in the next week. It could be get a new notebook, get a new candle for writing, choose a book deadline. Literally can be anything, 3 actions, but the point is to do something. Because I know you didn't show up and sit here for 90 minutes to take in a bunch of information and then do nothing. But list 3 things that you'll do today. They don't need to be massive. They can be any size. It's not forcing. And write it down. The other important thing about writing things down, I forget where I learned this stat. I'd have to find the source. When you write things down, you're 50% more likely to make it happen. Like, that's it. That's all I have to do is write it down, and I'm going to be 50% more likely to write my book. Boom, I'm going to write it down. So do that. And you can detail what it looks like and feels like when your book is done. That can be the content of your daily journal pages. My book is done. It's out in the world. It feels so good. I see this big golden book project. I'm so happy. I'm so proud of myself. I am celebrating by taking myself on a trip to Hawaii. Or if you're in Hawaii, you're going to travel somewhere else. We will come visit you. Period. That's all I have for you today. Look for me in your inbox with some of those links and just a couple extra tips on immersing yourself in the writing, imagining your book's done. Thank you so much for being here, everyone. This was so much fun. I also want to hear from you. I am going to include a quick link to a survey, like super quick, because I really want your feedback. I want to make sure this is helpful. Because if it's not helpful, I'm not going to do this again. If it was, I'll keep doing it. Thank you, Dana, for saying you weren't expecting to feel emotional about your book. Yeah, it is emotional. And we can also use those emotions to drive our writing, our daily actions, so that we show up and get it done. Because let me see if I can scroll back. Can I go backwards here? Guess I will end with this after all. Let me go back. There we go. The quote from Todd Henry, Die Empty. That's always a reminder. I guess I will close with that. Thank you, everyone, for being here so much. I value your time, your insight, and thank you so much for your great questions and your energy. I will talk to you all soon.